Good to see you again, Lauren. And how do you feel after our chat last time? When you
I feel confident that something's going to happen this time.
Right, that's what we like to hear. You're going to make something happen
Yes,
this time, okay?
definitely.
And I'm just going to guide you through it. The first thing we've got to do is get you started. We've got to start somewhere, and everybody's different. So what we're going to do is start on Easyloss guidelines. I'm going to run through it with you now and explain it all.
Okay.
You ask any questions you've got, you stop me at any point.
Yeah.
It's my job to explain it properly, not your job to understand it. So don't just do the nodding dog, okay? Make sure that if you've got any questions, you just stop me and ask.
Yeah.
As basically 4 guidelines, and what we're going to do is get your eating back to what it would have been naturally if you hadn't have been subjected to the parenting you had, the education you had, the peer group you came into contact with, the advertising you've been subjected to. All those things have contributed to giving you a relationship with food.
Yeah.
Like we talked about when you came in and saw me before. So what we're going to do is gradually over the course of the next 4 sessions, we're going to consciously work on this bit and unconsciously with the hypnosis work on your subconscious, so that your subconscious starts working with you and not against you. Does all that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. From the time you leave here today, what I'd like you to do is to follow these 4 guidelines and really make a conscious effort to follow the 4 guidelines. Now, when you consciously follow something to change a habit, it takes around about 21 consecutive days of practice before it becomes your unconscious habit.
Okay.
So if you do it for a couple of days and then stop, it's not going to become a habit. So you've got to put that bit of effort in.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay? However, if you get it wrong, if you mess up, nobody's died. You just start again from the next bite of food.
Yeah.
All right? It's not a diet. What we're changing is your eating habits for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
All right? So guideline number 1 is you're going to eat whatever you want, but not whatever you can.
Okay.
Because you can eat anything you like if it's not nailed down, can't you? But you want to become a slim, fit, healthy person.
Yeah.
So you want to eat the foods that slim, fit, healthy people eat. Now I can't tell you what's right for you. Oh, your unconscious will help you and guide you. But you know, you're not stupid, and there's loads of information out there, nutritional information, on the types of food that slim, fit, healthy people eat. You can watch slim, fit, healthy people eating. You can see the types of food they eat.
Yeah.
I think of myself as a relatively slim, fit, healthy person. I do eat chocolate, I do eat cake, I do eat chips, and I do eat crisps. I just don't eat them very often because I don't actually want them very often. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. So you have to be honest with yourself. Do you really want to eat that, and do you really want to eat it at that time?
Yeah.
So there are no forbidden foods, no bad foods, no excluded foods. There are just some foods that are more healthy for you than others. And you want to eat the healthier foods.
Yes.
Yeah? Before you put anything in your mouth, just to get this started, what I would like you to do is to ask yourself, do I really want to eat this right now? And is this what a slim, fit, healthy person would eat?
Yeah.
Okay? And if the answer to that's no, then you wouldn't eat it either. Happy with that?
Yeah.
Okay. It's not difficult, it's just different.
Yeah.
All right?
Definitely.
Now, you are going to eat every time you're hungry, but only when you're physically hungry. You are not on a diet. You must put fuel in every time your body tells you it needs it, but only when you're physically hungry, not because you're bored, not because you're angry, not because there's an R in the month, but just because you're physically hungry.
Yeah.
There's no other reason to put fuel in unless you're physically hungry.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll come on to the emotional eating side at a later session.
Yeah.
But just ask yourself, am I actually hungry? And if the answer to that is not really at the moment, or I'm not sure, then chances are you're not.
No.
So don't eat them. Just say, I'll have it a little bit later, and go off and do something else.
Yeah.
Okay, paint your nails or something. It's impossible to eat crisps with wet nails. Okay. Now the third guideline is, and this is the one that's kind of trickiest to really get to grips with and change your habit the most, I feel, and that's eating really slowly. We need you to slow your eating speed down to about a quarter of what it is now. Now, all of us eat so fast, we all eat hectic lives, we all eat so quickly, that by the time you've recognised that you've actually eaten sufficient, you're stuffed, you've overeaten.
Yeah.
By slowing your eating speed right down, and as I say, to about 25% of what it is now, you'll give yourself the opportunity to recognise when you're no longer hungry. And that's what I want you to ask yourself. Not, am I full? But am I still hungry?
Yeah.
Because the feeling's different. And through no fault of your own, you probably haven't felt that for a very long time, if ever.
Yeah.
The signal that you look for to tell you to stop eating is the signal that you're full. And that's the wrong signal. The signal that you recognise, the signal of being full, is actually the signal that you've overeaten.
Yeah.
Okay? So when you know when you're hungry, don't you?
Yeah.
What I want you to do is to start looking for the signal that you're not hungry any longer. So change the language that you use to yourself and ask yourself, am I still hungry after every single mouthful?
Okay.
It won't take long if you practice it consistently before you just recognise it and you just stop eating.
Yeah.
And that's the fourth guideline. When you are no longer hungry, or even think you're no longer hungry, stop eating. Okay? Regardless of how much food is left on your plate, if you are no longer hungry, then stop eating. Now at first you are going to get it wrong, because you don't know the signal yet. But the guidelines say, if you are hungry, you must eat. So it doesn't matter if you get it wrong and don't eat enough, because if a couple of hours later you're hungry again, you eat again. Okay? And if you overeat, because you haven't quite judged it correctly, if you overeat and about, sometimes you think you've eaten sufficient, you stop, and then after about 10-15 minutes you think, oh gosh, I feel really, really full.
Yeah.
And then you'll recognise that you've overeaten. That's okay, that's not a bad thing. Because although you've overeaten at that time, you've actually learned something.
Yeah.
The signal you thought was the signal that you were no longer hungry was still a bit too much.
Yeah.
Now for the first week of doing this, because you're going to come back and see me again in about 3 or 4 weeks' time, because you've got to practice before we know, which bits you're finding easy and which bits you're not finding so easy. But before you come back and see me again, for the first week, I don't want you to reduce your portion sizes down at all.
So have the same size.
Exactly the same size.
Try and feel when I'm full up.
That's it, you got it.
Not hungry anymore.
That's it, you got it. If I say to you, cut your portion size in half, then straight away that's a diet, isn't it?
Yeah.
So what I want you to do is to just dish the same size portion up at every meal that you have done up until now, but recognise when you're no longer hungry and just see for yourself how much food you were eating that actually you didn't need or want.
Yeah.
Okay? Now when you've been doing it for about a week, you'll recognise the portion size that's roughly right for you. And then you reduce the portion size down to the size that you recognise is right for you.
Yeah.
Okay, happy with that?
Yeah.
Now always, regardless of whether you've put so much on the plate that's too much or not enough, I need you to leave the last forkful, the last spoonful, the last bite of the sandwich, last bite of the biscuit, forevermore. You always leave that on your plate.
Okay.
Okay? Is there anything you want me to ask you about anything? You wanted to ask me about any of that?
Well, also, do you think, because a lot of the time I've been told that when you're hungry, you're actually thirsty.
That's right.
So then, obviously, like, if I just drink, obviously, a lot more fluids and stuff.
Exactly.
With meals and stuff with that, because it's quite confusing, the difference.
Sure. Now, because you're learning that signal, we said you're not sure about the signal for when you're no longer hungry. Also, the signal that you're hungry or thirsty is almost identical, as you said.
Yeah.
So you won't really know at first which one's the thirst signal. The signal that you recognise at the moment as being your thirst signal is actually the signal that you're beginning to dehydrate.
Yeah.
So if you get this right, you'll never feel that feeling again.
Yeah.
So every time you think you're hungry, have a glass of water, not gallons and gallons, half a glass. That size is enough.
Yeah.
Don't have to carry 2-litre bottles of water around with you. But if you think you might be hungry, have a small glass of water, and if the feeling goes away, then you're right, you were thirsty. And you don't need to eat. If it doesn't, after about 10-15 minutes, then have something to eat. Okay. Now the other thing that I did when I first started doing this, when James and I developed the programme, was I wasn't very good with water, but I could consume my entire body weight in cups of tea during the day. So what I would do, every time I went to the kettle, I'd have a small glass of water while I was waiting for the kettle to boil.
Yeah.
So I gradually just built in drinking more water without putting myself out at all.
Oh, I love water anyway.
That's great. How much water are you drinking at the moment?
I drink loads. I drink at least 3 big glasses a day.
Fantastic.
Because I just enjoy it,
So it's not going to be a difficult thing for you to do. Brilliant.
So, yeah.
The more you can increase it, the better. And you will notice that you feel hungry less often
Yeah.
because you're not confusing the hunger signals and the thirst signals.
Yeah.
Is that all okay?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Definitely.
Is there anything else you wanted to ask me about that at the moment?
No, I think that's everything there.
Okay.
Yeah.
What we're going to do now is the first part of the hypnosis to get everything started for you, okay, to give you a bit of unconscious help with the guidelines. Have you ever been hypnotised before?
No.
Okay, it's the most disappointing part of what I do. All right, there is no such thing as a hypnotised feeling. You will not be asleep, you won't be unconscious. At no point will have any control over your mind at all.
No.
It's just a nice relaxed feeling. You won't feel yourself go anywhere, there's nowhere to go, all right? It's a nice relaxed feeling, and in that nice relaxed state, anything that I say, if it's carefully worded, positive suggestion, it's for your benefit, and it'll be taken on board by your subconscious and acted upon.
Okay.
If I was to say anything that was against your best interests, immoral, you didn't, want to listen to, you could just open your eyes, get up out of the chair and walk away anytime you wish.
Okay.
I ask you to keep your eyes closed during the session because we take an awful lot of information in with our eyes for our purposes today we don't need.
Yeah.
It's not because I'm putting a tape on and nipping out for a cup of coffee.
Okay.
All right.
All right.
Okay. So when you're ready now, all I'd like you to do is to pull